Welcome to 40K Fanatics, a podcast where we try to teach you how to get good. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. That's not what my notes say at all. That's not what we do, Casey.
Yeah, we just provide inaccurate lore and battle reports.
We just talk about the thing we like, and we hope you like it too. We hope you like us too. We wonder, where are the comments?
Where are the comments,
Where's
guys?
the hate?
Seriously, I talked about the Lion for so long, I had to have missed something.
I really enjoyed that Lion pod. I didn't know anything about the world of Caliban. I knew nothing about the Dark Angels or who is this home? Luther?
Luther is homeboy, best friend, mentor, man.
I watched a battle report on Tabletop Tactics. Shout out to them over in the UK. They're running all the 10th edition on their.
I've been seeing a lot of their stuff popping up.
Oh man, and I pay the couple dollars. I mean, $50 a year or something to get all their extra stuff that you get off the website. And they ran Dark Angels versus Black Legion, and they had the Lion versus Abaddon and Cypher.
Abaddon and Cypher together.
Cypher was out there running around. He got too. He got by Samael.
Well, I saw his stats back in 9th, and I thought he was amazing. And then I reviewed the ones here in 10th, and I don't think he's as much of a great character. It used to be you could use him as a CP farm. Well, now what you do is he's reverse CP farm. So once a battle, he can make somebody's stratagem cost 1 extra. So all your Space Marines, their Armor of Contempt that basically get, it's -1 AP, you can make it cost 2 CP. And in the new way where you start with 0 and you each get 1, that just makes it unusable for the rest of the battle. True, but how often are you using the same stratagem twice in one game?
It comes up. It comes up because that one's so valuable with the AP being down. And I want to say it stacks with cover too. So you see, you can knock out a couple AP, which can save a unit. But then all of a sudden, that mug costs 2.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah. We got a bit of business to attend to.
What's the business we're attending to?
I hope that someday I'm going to be able to say we've got business to attend to and actually get us money. But what we're going to do today is we're going to shout out the NEA Game Fest, which is coming up. I've got my notes here. On July 20th through the 23rd. It's a 4-day event supporting the Friends of the Library nonprofit organization. They're going to have a 40K tournament. I believe it's going to be 2 days. It's going to be a big deal. They've also got play to win board games. So they'll have a whole thing where you grab a game and you play it with people, and then that puts you in a drawing to win that board game. There's going to be Dungeons and Dragons one-shots. There's going to be Saga. There's going to be all kinds of stuff.
Oof, that seems like that's multiple days, right? That's like 3 days.
That's 4 days.
4 days.
4 days of gaming.
Yeah, and
it's got to get the notes. Which hotel is it going to be at? It's going to be.
Oh, it's in a hotel.
It is. It's a proper big event thing, and it's going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn. It's $40 to attend for all 4 days online, or $50 at the door. $10 kids 11 through 15, and kids 10 and under absolutely free, as it should be. I went to the zoo the other day, and I took a friend of mine and her new baby. And the baby got in free, and I'm like, that's fair. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
The baby is too expensive in every other aspect.
We take every time we go someplace, we take my kid to the zoo because it's either discounted or it's free because, the kid's not going to pay attention.
No. The little baby is going to have no recollection, but we got pictures, so it happened, and that's something. I don't know what that is.
Okay. But yeah, that Gamer Fest, man, I'm excited for it. What was the initial entry fee for that?
It's $50 at the door and $40 if you get your ticket online beforehand.
I'd like to be a part of that. I heard about that a few days ago. You told me, and I looked into it a little bit. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I think we need to pop in there and represent. Take some pictures.
Post
them on all the spots.
Show some merch.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Let's open the bits box. Today we're going to talk about, Casey and I played our first game of 10th.
It was legit.
It was legit. It was very good, and we've got some finer points to discuss about it. But first, in the bits box, after our game of 10th, Harken World Claimer, Herald of the Apocalypse, and his Raptors put in work the other day against your group of 20
20 orc boys, yeah.
A orc with Wa banner, and a war boss. You had a big old brick, and those raptors came down with the ferocity of a war-born torrent.
Yeah, they came down. They went straight for my mob of boys. You went turn 1, so you had that movement right out the gate, and then you just charged right in, slaughtered them. I think you knocked out 17 round 1 before I even moved or anything.
They put in work.
And then you took out my war boss because Harkin has a precision weapon, correct?
That's right. Now,
yeah, but I smacked back.
You smacked back. Now that's where my bits box starts. So I decided, well, back up just a touch. The new app came out a couple days ago.
Love that new app, by the way.
It's pretty good, isn't it? It needs a little bit of game time reference.
Yeah, true.
It needs to be like I don't like how when you go into it to look at the stuff, you're also going in to edit the stuff. That is rife for misclicking and messing up your whole list.
That is my thing, because I have to put 20 boys on there, and then I have to give 2 of them rockets. Well, now I have to go in and edit those 2 boys, edit the number of boys that I have left on top of the whole number of the unit. And it's just it's a little micromanagey for me, and a little bit less if I subtract this, the rest should just auto subtract. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the other thing it needs is look, I just want the cards.
I'm eager for the cards.
They're finally available for pre-order. I just want the cards. Give me the cards. It's going to be so easy with the cards because I'm going to have my 7 cards in front of me, and then once a unit gets killed, the card's going back in the box.
Exactly. It's just like Yu-Gi-Oh!
And it's going to get easier and easier.
It's time to duel.
Yeah. So, on the hit back, you killed all 5 of my raptors.
Yep.
And Harkin didn't survive much longer. And so...
Yeah, I think I either killed him or something else got him. What happened?
Yeah, I don't remember, but the bodyguard blob did not withstand first contact, really.
Yeah, I think it was I had 20 boys and the Knob with the Wa banner and then a war boss, and you knocked down 17 plus the war boss thanks to your precision.
They put up numbers.
3 boys and a Knob with the Wa banner attacked you.
But the thing that I noticed when I was making the new lists, the 2,000-point list, is it was dang near every model that I own to make 2,000 points.
Really? So it's cheap?
Well, yeah. So I feel like, tinfoil hat on, in some grand scheme to sell more models, Games Workshop may have scaled down the points just a touch. The balance is what the balance is, right? But the sort of model count point scaling has gone to where if you had 3,000 points before, you might only have 2,100 points now, right?
Yeah, and for orcs, I'm seeing a little bit of a change. It's not exactly opposite. Some things cost less, some things cost more. But the things that you really want to take cost a little bit more. And now here I am. Let's say I want to make a 2K list or maybe a 1K list. I am around 100 points less and having a hard time finding anything that I can fill into that slot, because that's just a huge points difference that you cannot have on the battlefield.
Well, you say that. However, I find that it is really tricky to make 2,000 points on the nose, because you don't have, the war gear is all free, and the enhancements are only, there's only 4 of them, and they cost whatever they cost. So you end up in a lot of positions where in the game tomorrow, I'm playing 1990, and there's no 10-point nothing to add.
And that's fine.
I'd have to rejig the whole thing. But all of that was to get to what I've done hobbying this week, which is, 1, airbrush some Ghost White for Age of Sigmar.
And the Raptors.
And I built 5 new Raptors. And so...
They look good. Check them out on the Twitter.
Yeah, they're on the Twitter, and they're joining my other Raptors, so I'm going to paint them near as identically as I can. I feel like my method has gotten a little better, so I don't expect they're going to take long to do.
You're looking like a Night Lords player over there. Starting to.
I don't know what the Night Lords do.
Oh, they affect leadership. They're fast attack, strike, raptors, Warp Town, stuff like that.
Oh,
and they just go in and affect leadership, and that's pretty much the basis of what that army is. So, a lot of fast attack, use a lot of raptors, use a lot of Warp Towns, go in, melee, and you're done. Clean up.
I did do a thing. So,
What's the thing?
The new engagement rules where you have to be in base-to-base contact and then a second rank of base-to-base contact. When we played, I found that it made it where if you have a big old blob, not everybody's fighting every time.
That is true.
If you have a blob of 6, so 5 bodyguard and a leader, not everybody's fighting all the time. So instead of doing 10 chainsword raptors, I guess 2 of them with plasma pistols, because you get to do that. You would end up with like 2 power weapons, 2 plasma pistols. For every 5, you can have 2 like other weapons. So I put 2 melt-a-guns on them.
Ooh.
Because my thinking is, I'm going to deep strike, I'm going to do whatever, right? Or maybe I'll just run them up the board and get into an easy charge range.
Yeah.
I could have those 2 melta-shots along with all those pistols and grenades or whatever.
Because the half range.
Because I'm going to get that extra damage, and I could just pop all kinds of stuff. And then, when we go to charge, I'm not actually losing out on many fighters, because you tend to not be able to get 11 models in anyway, unless you're charging a particularly large blob. So I thought, like, this is a win-win and a good excuse to do a little kit bashing, because I had to get a melta-gun out of... so the Raptor box comes with 1 solitary melta-gun.
Ooh.
Even though you can have 2 of the random weapons, right?
So you had to find the bits?
So I got in my bits, and I thought that I had my Raptor bits. I guess I've thrown my old Raptor bits away. So I found a chosen melta-gun.
I'll take any bits you got.
Which is just and it looks like a big old long melta-gun this guy's holding in one hand, because the one in the kit is a 2-handed hold, right? So yeah. I got a guy with his
pistol-earing
big
melta.
Old pistol melta-gun, yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks good, and he looks different than the rest. You don't want 2 identical units.
That's a big appeal for 40K. Kit bashing, especially armies like Orcs and all those Horde armies that the models are disposable, or you end up with a lot of bits of. You can do a lot of fun things. Make your heroes look really good. Especially, I've seen the new Lieutenant in Phobos armor with all the Tyranid stuff. People are just getting a normal Reaver or something, some guy in Phobos, and just getting a couple Tyranid bits and slapping them on there with some green stuff and making them look good.
Yeah.
That's one of the best parts about 40K.
I could go on the bits box, and I usually do, but what do you have, Casey?
Oh, man. I'm still a little jet lagged from my Chicago trip coming back, and I've been working on my army for my buddy that I've been talking to you, the Dark Angels one.
Yeah.
So far, I've got just under 1K. I'm at about 850, 875. Looking for some more Space Marines for him, if I can find them. A lot of heroes, took up a lot of points. Well, they're almost done. I just got to get a few primed, and, right now my funds are pretty slim. So I'm just going to try to reach out to my network of contacts, see if I can get bits, kit bash some stuff together, and see what I can do.
They're looking good, aren't they? Are they posted on the Twitter in places?
I tried to avoid it for a time. I mean, my friend isn't on social media, but the other day he was just really hard, having a hard day. He had it. And I was like, man, it's going to get better. And he's just like, I don't know how it can. And I was like, you know what? Don't let your life become grimdark. Keep it all on the tabletop. Here's a photo of your new army. And he was just like, he freaked out.
Yeah, they look good.
They look really good.
They look really good.
I got characters. I got a couple 3D printed models. I've got a lot of stuff that's probably going to be going to Legends pretty soon. So, it'll encourage him to learn how to play the game and start out, but then eventually, hopefully, he'll get, more models on his own and then be able to, fill out the rest of his army and replace those models that he doesn't need,
Boom. Bits box
closed.
Speaking of learn the game, we played our first game of 10th. You know what? It was not the muddle through that either of us expected it to be.
Yeah, it was a lot more intuitive.
And we've been playing 9th, so I found in my fairly brief history with 40K that...
What'd you find?
There are a lot of people that were playing 9th halfway, right?
Yeah.
You had your sort of power gamer, meta-chasing tournament guys.
Well, I think that's because there's a lot of rules in
It's
9th.
hard. It was hard.
Man, it is hard.
It was a lot, and I made you play it right because I'm a psycho.
True, and I've even played people who forgot rules and would play, I didn't know, or maybe I did.
I remember the first time you and I played, you were like, I didn't know about a pile-in.
Yes, I didn't know about a pile-in for a long time, and I've been playing for like around a year. And I'm an orc player, guys, so that's where I shine. And, that can be really rough if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole chunk that was just omitted from the game.
But now in 10th...
The pile-in's very important.
The pile-in is extremely important. The rules are a lot easier. The stratagems are a lot more watered down. For me, as an orc character, I had to remember tons and tons and tons of rules while playing. If I was at a tournament, I'd have to play as fast as I could because I'd only have an hour to play my game. And I had all these abilities and all these stratagems on top of my army ability to do and remember what I had to do to play the baseline game. Now, orc characters have lost a lot of their abilities, or they're a lot watered down, or you have to spend CP on these things, and I'm going to say it's better.
Yeah, and it's that way for everybody. Like, my entire thing with Chaos Space Marines is every time I shoot or fight, I make a Dark Pact, and I pick either lethal hits or sustained hits.
You know, and I think that's really cool because
and roll the dice.
It reminds me of those armies like Leagues of Votann or Sisters of Battle. All those little extra things that they could do, and I think that's great for Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, it runs so smooth compared to that big O layer upon layer upon layer thing, and also the army abilities, the unit abilities take the place of like all your sort of faction specific rules that you would have in a totally different section of your codex back in 9th.
Oh yeah, you had to go hunting for
you had to go hunting, or you just had to remember the entire thing.
And if you remember and you played somebody who was like, that seems unfair, then you had to go looking for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And pretty soon we'll just be able to hand the card over and be like, the guy leading this unit gives a unit of feel no pain.
Yeah, because and I think what kind of played into that was in 9th, even in other editions before that, you had to not only buy the models and then make the army, you also had to get the data sheet, you had to buy the codex, buy the core rules, understand, and then they'd have FAQs come out, and then they even had an app before this new one that came out. You had to buy the codex and then scan the QR code to make sure, just to access the app.
Yeah, that app was trash bag.
So you'd have to use a third-party app, and I'm not saying Battlescribe was bad. Battlescribe was a blessing. But, man, all the money, gouging that Games Workshop did really made it hard to learn the rules in a way. I'm not saying it's a stone wall. It was a little bit. But now it's streamlined. It's easy. They're right there where you need them. You can look something up in no time. And I've been learning things like lethal hits and critical hits and all these new things that they're adding, precision. We just kept a sheet right there next to us so we can just reference it, and it flowed pretty easy.
Yeah, the Universal Special Rules are so good because there aren't how many are there? There can't be more than 20.
Yeah, I wouldn't say them. I would say they're right around there.
And there's kind of like a big 4, right? There's sustained hits.
Yeah.
There's lethal hits.
Yeah.
There's devastating wounds.
Yep. Critical hits.
Oh, and critical hits is just sort of like a core thing. Like you're just always looking for 6s because all these other things are triggered on those.
Yeah. And then you've got the things that you already knew that just now have a name.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that can hide out in the teleport station or warp in, it's all Deep Strike. Which is what we always called it.
So that's what everybody called it. Man, it was a hassle. Extra attacks.
Extra attacks? That was one that came up.
I don't like that they call it that because to me that sounds like there should be a number and you get extra attacks with whatever weapon you're using. Really, it's just saying that you attack with one weapon and look, you get extra attacks with a second weapon.
Well, that's because in Melee, and it's always been this way, you pick one.
Yeah.
In shooting, you shoot everything you got. In Melee, you pick one, unless you've got one that says extra, in which case you use it too. And I'm like, how simple is that?
Yeah, and in 9th, there was some confusion about that, but not a lot because the equipping things, it wasn't as complicated. 10th is a little bit more complicated, but it stomps out any form of misinterpretation.
How good was the Battle Shock mechanic?
We didn't get to use it a lot, really.
We were having guys getting wiped out.
Oh yeah, units were getting taken off the board, and I think it was pretty good, pretty awesome because as an orc player, I'm used to that, but I was surprised I was taking whole units of yours off the board.
Yeah, you were giving as good as you were getting.
It felt pretty even and balanced, and I was happy.
So we played a 1,000 point game, and as of recording this, the June 24th, the mission card deck is available for pre-order, but
Leviathan just dropped today.
Yeah, Leviathan dropped today. So now, if you buy Leviathan box, you get the mission deck. We didn't have the mission deck because I don't have the Leviathan box, and we're not getting anything early. This was 2 weeks ago now that we played, and so we played an Arks of Omen mission.
Yeah, we just pulled out a random mission from Arks of Omen book, and we had a good time.
And we used secondaries out of Arks of Omen.
Yeah, so it was mostly 10th, but with some 9th, a little bit of 9th thrown in there.
Here's the thing. Everything worked.
100%.
The scoring worked fine. We
were pretty close. I think it was, 58 to 40?
You had the exact same score in your first game of 10th. Orcs versus Space Marines, 1,000 points, as you had in your previous game of 9th of Orcs versus Space Marines.
Yep.
You had the exact same score.
Consistency is key.
And I had less points than the last game we played because I blew you out in our last game in 9th.
Yeah,
and then this time it was close.
Yeah, I think it was. I played a little bit better. I could have played the long game a little bit more. You kept your heavy hitter back, and it really saved you there at the end, I think,
Yeah, so a little bit
I had
of
a lot of bad dice rolls at the end.
We're just talking about our first game of 10th because we're excited about 10th.
And it was an awesome game.
Hopefully you guys like this sort of blow-by-blow that we're going to get into.
Hero Hammer is so much fun at 10th.
It's so good to have a group of dudes led by somebody.
Yeah.
Because you're like, these dudes are this guy's bunch of dudes. And I missed this rule, and they got slaughtered because I just missed it. So, a couple of things. How we were managing that big old stack of data cards that we do not physically have yet, because those are also available for pre-order, but we don't have them. And when they come out, it's going to make the game so much easier. I mean, I don't care even if they FAQ and I got to get some white out and put in some adjustments. That's fine.
I was just looking at the PDF.
You're looking at the PDF, which was a bunch of scrolling. I had my laptop with the PDF, and I was able to just put in the search for whatever data card I needed, and that worked pretty well. However,
yeah, we were only at 4 hours.
Yeah, and we were taking our time.
Yeah,
this is the only problem with the attached units if you don't have a good way to lay out all your cards, because we don't have the cards yet. The leader of the unit, you kind of need to have that card right there handy next to the rest of the unit card, because I had a unit of Chosen being led by a Master of Possession.
And you forgot
and I forgot the Master of Possession gives a 6-up Feel No Pain to the whole unit.
Yeah, and I just walked up and wiped them out, and you totally forgot the Feel No Pain.
Yeah, and had they been able to survive, you had a bunch
It might have been a different game.
Yeah, you had a bunch of cars and stuff because you were determined to have a parking lot. Casey's list, the last 2 games that we've played, has looked like a concert letting out on turn 1, right? It's just gridlock in turn 1 as he's trying to get all these cars just maneuvered outside of his deployment zone.
And I was playing...
And it is a silly way to play, but
early
I like
to mid-9th, I was playing infantry, nonstop infantry. And even when people were all about orc vehicles because people were winning tournaments with them, I stayed with infantry because I was like, they're going to get nerfed. They're going to get nerfed right around the corner, about to get nerfed. And here we are, and 10th is coming out, and no nerf happened. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to finish out 9th with the car park. Let's go.
Well, the car park would be fine, except you're playing a 1K game, and we played it on the small board for Arks of Omen 1K.
Obstacles are rough.
It was packed back there, man.
This one was a little bit better than our last 9th game. It
was. It was good. The star of the show for me, you talk about how the vehicles are strong. Mm-hmm. I took a Forge Fiend, and I parked him behind a big old ruin because in 10th, stuff basically has the obscuring, terrain has the same obscuring sort of trait as it did in Ninth, right? If you have it totally behind a building, behind its footprint, and you can't draw lines around the side of it, then you can't shoot it.
Still -1 to hit, yeah, or -1 to.
You can't even shoot it.
Oh yeah,
unless unless you fire some indirect at it. But anyway, so I had the Forge Fiend parked behind a ruin in my deployment zone to start.
Man,
I got first turn, so I walked him out.
Yep.
A couple of inches, kept him halfway behind the thing, so he'd get the benefit of cover, because that's all you got to do now.
Used him to auto-delete my rocket truck,
and he just proceeded to fire all kinds of stuff. And he had Mark of Tzeentch on him, so if I picked lethal hits in my Dark Pact...
Man, yeah, that Dark Pact, woof.
Yeah, then he got auto wounds on 5.
I think you only failed 1 Dark Pact that whole game, didn't you?
My dudes are well disciplined. We run drills about that.
Man, you got those lethal hits really well, and man, did they help.
They light you up.
Wow.
They light you up. I tell you what they do. Everybody was so worried about how
and it's not overpowered.
No.
It's not.
No, because people were so worried about how are we going to deal with these tanks and these cars and these trucks with all this toughness, right? Go auto wound those mugs.
Yeah, I mean, you hurt my cars pretty good. They were pretty even against your infantry. I had stuff way in the back, and they stayed for like the whole game. They didn't die like out of nowhere, but they put up a good fight, and I was pretty okay with that. And I didn't feel like I was being unfair to you.
We were playing 1K, and in 1K games, in my experience, somebody gets tabled because you still play 5 whole turns.
True.
And 5 whole turns are designed to last for all this pile of 2,000 points of units, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, on turn 4, I had 2 models.
You said, what'd you say? You said, oh, man, I'm going to lose again.
Yeah.
But then you totally swung it.
The last 2 games we played, there's been a moment like in turn 2 where I lose some pretty vital whole units, and I say, I'm going to lose, and then I don't lose.
Yeah, it's like you unjinx yourself or something. My rolls start like fizzling out a bit.
I don't know. I think it's that once I have that I'm going to lose thought, I always start to like rejig my strategy.
Rejizzy your jams?
Yeah. Well, you know what I think it is? I think it's halftime adjustments.
Yeah,
I think I'm Bill Belichick.
You're good at,
and you're Mike McCarthy. you're not making any adjustments.
I'll have to Google who that is, but
yeah, you're just like, no, we got talent. We got talent on the field. We're going to be fine.
You're good at the long game, and me being an orc player, I'm all about the first 2 turns. Be up in their face, go first, hit hard, and hope they're not there to punch back. You're like, you know what? My guys are balanced. They're good. They're efficient. They're good at their jobs. I'm going to make them last the whole game, stack up those points, and then I'm going to win this thing.
Well, and here was the thing. When I was down to 2 solitary units, those units were 1 Legionnaire champion who was just determined to keep passing his battle shock. He didn't care.
Dude.
He just, what's my leadership? 6? We run it 8 through 10.
Last guy in the whole unit.
All right? Which was so great.
Yeah. And
because it made sense. This guy is like, no, he's here.
And then you had a Forge Fiend.
And then I still had the Forge Fiend.
Yeah.
And you were down to a mech gun and a pile of grots. And let me tell you what, the Forge Fiend is good at messing up.
Yeah, you wiped out my Killicans pretty easy. Before that.
Yeah, that group of Legionnaires that left the
Mark
one
of Khorne.
Yeah, Mark of Khorne. So they're doing lethal hits on 5s and
Dark Pact.
Yeah.
Man, you really efficiently melee.
Chopping.
Yes, you were
chopping.
Beating orcs in melee.
5-man unit, chopping.
Boy. And then you had your Forge Fiend holding an objective, and he had used a pack of cultists to sticky objectives, a previous objective. So he was effectively on 2, maybe 3 objectives at a time.
Yeah,
with 2 units.
So how fun is that with the cultists, right? Like who would have seen that coming? So a whole lot of the detachment rule. So a whole lot of the armies in the new indexed 10th have got a stratagem for a CP where something can happen on or around an objective marker, and then that makes it sticky. I don't have a stratagem like that in my army. What I do have is the cultist mob, the lowly cultist mob. They just have sticky objectives. So as long as you've been standing on it at the end of your command phase, that mug is stuck until somebody else comes and stands on it. So you deploy them around your home objective, and then, okay, it's my command phase. That's done. It's stuck. We're walking off.
Yeah, and for me, a big change for me was that orcs are now loving Grots. They liked him a little bit at the end of ninth because you could use get the good bits and score at the end of your turn, and you wouldn't have to worry about them getting blown off before you scored points with them. But now Grots have a ability where you can use them to farm CP if they are on an objective.
Yeah, so they're dedicated backline holders.
Yeah,
which is what they always were.
And not only that, you have a model called Zogrod Wartsnagger. He is a beast snagga boy that recently came out in ninth. Man, people were loving beast snaggers back then, but he was absolutely useless. Great model, looked cool lore about him, but no one played him because he was garbage. And now he's got this whole abilities that are just going to give Grots a 9-inch pre-game move. So you're already getting them on the objective if you're lucky. And he also gives them a +1 to hit and a wound. And he freaking rocks.
How many points is a unit of Grots?
Oh, dude, let me look that up.
Because the cultists are 50.
Pretty cheap.
They're just 50.
90 for Grots.
Ooh.
And that is 20 of them.
Oh, there's not a 10-man Grot?
There is a 10-man Grot.
So it's 45.
Here, let me pull that up for you. Yeah, it's 45.
Yeah, that's cheap.
And 45 points to farm potentially 2 CP.
Yeah,
turn.
Now that's a thing that I haven't figured out is, I mean, we're going to have to play the new mission pack eventually. Like,
yes.
I told, shout out Jonathan at Gamers Haven, friendly local game store. Also, we should note, we played at the Foundry, your friendly local game store, is where we played our 10th edition. But anyway, my friendly local game store, Jonathan at Gamers Haven, I said, look, take my
tournament, right?
Take my money. I need the mission deck. I need my army deck. Let me know when. Order that up. Put it back. Like ASAP.
Man, this Leviathan box, it provided a lot of cool stuff for 40K, and I'm super excited about it. New models, new lore. Man, things are insane. And I'm hearing that they're still going to bring out new Tyranid models.
Well, yeah. Well, they announced, what was that thing? The,
talking about the vampire looking mugger?
Yeah. A Tyranid with a cape.
Man, that dude with the cape. People were on the fence about that cape. Let me tell you. All I saw on Twitter that day was just cape, no cape. I don't know. I'll probably delete that. And I'm just like, I don't know. It kind of looks cool.
Are you kidding me?
I like it.
I'm here for capes on everybody.
I imagine him kind of like Batman, you know, in a hive city while it's raining in the dark, like overlooking his enemy. And I think that's like the gist of what I would assume, because he's a stealth unit, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't look too close. You know what?
Dope model.
Yeah, you know what? My thing with 40K is that I love the lore and the setting, but when it comes down to the actual collecting and whatnot, I'm a one-woman man.
Yeah,
right.
You don't see something cool and we're like, I want that. You just you stick to your guns with your faction.
I would have bought the new edition box if it was Chaos Space Marines.
Okay, yeah.
You know what that's what I'm saying.
I get
right?
you.
Like, but I am not about to be buying a box of Tyranids and Space Marines.
Get you some World Eaters. They got an update. There you go.
No, I'm not doing it. Let me tell you, my cabinet models, because
your pile of shame.
Well, no, it's all painted and stuff, but I'm running out of room.
Ooh,
I've got it packed full, man.
I feel you there.
Like, those models are getting close together.
I feel you there.
And I do have a wandering eye for whole other games, right?
Yeah.
Like, in a game, I'll have one thing, except for Kill Team. I've got quite a few of those because they're small, right? But in a game, I'll have one thing. So in Age of Sigmar, I've been working on those Nighthaunt, the Ghosty Boys, trying to make this airbrush work. I was ready to give it away the other day.
Did it malfunction again?
Oh boy!
Oh no!
We've pretty well covered our main topic. Can I rant about this airbrush for a second time because it got worse?
I guess we got some time.
It got worse.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's talk about the airbrush for a minute. Okay.
Number one,
and you're done.
Number one.
What's up?
I'm trying to prime these things white because I've decided that all my Nighthaunt are going to be various like core colors that then fade seamlessly and smoothly into white and then into like a muddy cemetery grounds.
Base,
right?
Okay.
And it looks really good in the one model that I've successfully done this on.
Okay. But your airbrush is
so I go to prime these things white. I told the people in a previous pod, unless the timeline's too messed up, about how I got some Army Painter white primer, and it was the consistency of cottage cheese.
Yes.
All right. It was a non-starter. Didn't work. So I got the one-shot white primer, and it was told to me to be very thin, and it is. And boy, let me tell you what. So I had done one model at once to do the test, and I got it done, and I just caked it on. Got it done. So the next time I thought, all right, I'm not going to do that because that's highly inefficient. I'm going to make like 15 models and prime them all at once. That way I can do a coat and then go back to the start of the line and do a coat as needed. So I start spraying, and it's not covering worth nothing. I get 4 models in. They're wet as they can be. You can see straight through it. They just look gray and dirty. And my airbrush starts spitting.
Oh.
And it starts hardly anything coming out.
And that's awful because not only are you not getting a consistent stream, you might be getting that, but then you'll see like certain little spots of hard color.
We weren't even making spots of hard color.
Oh, no.
It was just, right? It's pitiful. It's pitiful. So, and I look at the tip of it, and it's just caked full of white primer. So I'm like I'm taking tweezers, and I'm taking Q-tips and stuff, and I'm trying to wipe all this gunk, and it'll spray for like a second, and then go right back to its shenanigans. And I'm like 8 models in, and they look progressively more horrible.
Oh, no.
I'm putting Flow-Aid in this thing. I'm putting more paint. I'm trying to clean the tip off.
The
whole thing appears to be functioning as it should. So I'm like, I don't even understand where the clog is.
You poor man.
Oh, it was brutal. And I was ready to be like, I was ready to call the ex-girlfriend because she wants an airbrush.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm about to
so you're going to
drop
like,
this off at your house.
I know we broke up, but here's a friendly gift. My old airbrush. I got a new one.
Exactly. Maybe you can do something with this thing because I am done with it.
That's great.
But I'm sitting there, and I've got 15 models in front of me, 3 of which look fine, and then they get progressively worse, right? So I'm like, this cannot stand.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? So I clean it out. I took this thing apart down to parts that I didn't know would come out of it. And then I had a thought. I'm like, okay, it's clogging right at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Like right at the nozzle at the end.
Okay.
And I thought, maybe I don't have enough pressure to get all the paint out. So my little cheap airbrush, it's got a 3-speed motor thing.
Okay.
So this time I've got the thing super clean. It's spraying water and it's spraying like Flow-Aid really clear and strong, right? And I crank it up to the max pressure.
What happened?
It ran like butter.
Until something happened?
It just ran like butter.
Really?
I did all 15 of them. Like, I mean, I'm
okay,
spraying.
I was expecting you to say a booger came out or something.
No, this mug ran like a champ. So I'm spraying, and I'm going back over the ones that I had started with because at this point they're nearly dry because I've been fighting with this thing for 2 hours.
Man.
And also, I thought this would go fast, so I'm standing up at my little hobby table because I thought this would be a 10-minute thing. 2 hours later, right?
Jeez, you put on all that work, and then all you had to do was flip a switch.
Yeah, they're so quirky.
Man, maybe that's what I should have done with my old one. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, yeah, turn the pressure up, like. But then again, you see guys talking about like their nice airbrushes when they're like spraying inks and stuff. They're like, use as little pressure as you possibly can just to get it to spray. And I'm like, well, I mean, here's a question, and I don't know the answer, but when they're saying use as little pressure as you can,
yeah,
is there little pressure as they can the max setting on the little cheap one that I've got? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I've got something. You're a Star Wars fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan, too. Me and my wife are Star Wars fan, hoping my kid turns into one.
We're both huge Clone Wars fans.
Yes. Clone Wars, just, chef's kiss. And, well, here's the thing. With Leviathan coming out and 10th coming out, there's been some new lore. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I was right about the Tyranids. I hope you liked the Imperium of Man, because it seems like it's all over. Unless something happens.
Well, what does that have to do with Star Wars?
Well, because as the Imperium has realized, okay, so you know how in a battle there's a victory, right?
Theoretically.
And then they're like, oh man, that was so hard fought, but we did it.
Yeah.
Their hard fought victory was, we can hold them. Not win, hold them.
Right.
And, well, there was a Raven Guard ship out off in the distance, surveying a few things and looking out to see all the Tyranids, and basically saw a new Tyranid form. And it's like, somebody taps him on the shoulder, like, hey, Commander, there's something out there. And it's like, what? You ought to look yourself. And it's like, that's no moon.
There's a Tyranid Death Star?
There may be, very well, a Tyranid Death Star, and that is where they ended the lore.
Oh my gosh! Was that in the new book you got?
Not in the Lion, but it was in this new lore that's come out with Leviathan. Yeah, so there may be a Death Star that is literally a Tyranid bioform, a living planet, coming right for the Imperial.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Tyranid biomass planet terrain set.
I'd like that, because I see a lot of those, but it's all custom-made stuff or 3D printed stuff or like Mod Podge stuff, and I agree with you. I think they should put out some terrain that is focused on the Tyranid stuff.
I think we just need more terrain in general.
That'd be cool.
You know what? Sometimes I'll see guys playing a game at the store, right? And they got hardly any terrain out there, and I'm like, man, guys, like, stack it up. It's more fun to have more stuff to move around and make different firing lines. And then it is also more fun when it's not all so samey-same.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Orc terrain, you got a little bit of Imperium terrain, but where's everybody else's? I mean, Eldar, you got Tau, then you've got Chaos, they don't have any terrain either.
Well, and when the terrain does come out, you end up with some good stuff that has its own little look.
Yeah.
But, I want to see boards full, man.
Mm-hmm. And supposedly, the Tyranids are getting a new model. It's called a Norn Emissary. And if you didn't know too much about Tyranids, they have something called a Norn Queen, which lives on their Hive ship. That's the living ship that lives in orbit, which like spawns and coordinates the Tyranids. So basically, this new unit in the lore is in the middle of a battlefield. It's about the size of a small Bio-Titan. Small Titan, but it can literally slip down elevator shafts, collapse its bone like a cat, and attack.
It's got that octopus thing going on.
So the man, Lord Solar, was leading the fight against the Tyranids, holding the line very well, going around. He's that fancy horse guy in the Gold Army. You've seen that model, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's going around with his retinue of like 80 dudes, and then all of a sudden, in the distance, you see this big thing just staring daggers at him on top of like a skyscraper or something. And he's just like, I guess we'll just continue. And this thing makes a Hail Mary jump straight at him, kills like 40 of his guys, and is only stopped when like some custodians show up, blow that thing away with some rockets. It still lives. The custodians jump out. I'm talking about custodians, not Space Marines. This thing killed 6 custodians.
Wow.
Before it was put down, and 80 men died on top of it. And just a ballpark, if we were saying numbers, 6 custodians, that's probably 60 Space Marines to 100 Space Marines dead from one thing. So if this thing gets a model, here, let me show you a picture of it. I actually have a picture pulled up right here. This thing right in the corner of this photo.
Sick. It's very spiky.
Yeah.
It's very spiky in the photo.
So I'm excited. A mini Bio Titan for Tyranids. They only have one Titan, and it's really cool. And I think that if they did this with like a mini version of that, I'd buy it just to paint it.
Tomorrow, I'm going to play my first 2K game of 10th, and we're going to use the mission deck. I'm playing Shout Out Austin. He's going to be playing his Astra Militarum.
Yeah, Imperial Guard versus Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. 2K, right?
2K.
Man.
Abaddon's coming. Harkin's coming.
Ooh.
Master Possessions is coming.
Remember are you going to use that Feel No Pain now?
Oh, yeah.
I hope you do.
Master Possession and the Chosen are rolling up in the Rhino to get in the middle of the board to then jump out and proceed to wreck.
I can't wait to see. Make sure you take photos of that.
I'm gonna.
Fans love. Man, people are going nuts about our battle photos that we take.
Where can we find the battle photos?
On Twitter, Shane.
If you're 40K Fanatics.
Check us out at 40K Fanatics on Twitter.
Rate and review the podcast. Let us know what you like, what you don't like.
Hit the YouTube videos.
Yeah, there's YouTube videos. Those are just Casey. I did think about doing one the other day.
Yeah?
And then I turned Zelda on and didn't.
Man, you and that Zelda, dog.
It's really good.
But from us here in the Grim Dark Garage, I'm Casey.
And I'm Shane.
And we'll see you out there in the grim darkness of the far future. See ya.